This morning in the city of Bogotá, President-elect Gustavo Petro held a meeting with the 32 governors of the country to establish a regional dialogue and thus learn about different problems that each region has. In the city of Bogotá, the first meeting was held between the 32 governors of the country and the elected President Gustavo Petro to address the problems presented in the regions and establish solutions for the 4-year term. The governor of the archipelago, Everett Hawking, during his intervention, asked the new president of the Colombians for the integration and participation of the racial people in the new government through the strengthening of relations with the people of the Caribbean.
Mr. President, we have an important problem, and it is the integration with the Caribbean, particularly with the Creole people. We have people similar to us in Corn Island, Limon Island, Roatan, Belize, Jamaica, and Bocas del Toro, and we have given a fight to the state for the recognition of the native population and the defense of their interests. Our dream has been the struggle for many. Mr. President, I ask you to allow the Creole people to be integrated into their own worldview and reality towards their own idea of integrating these peoples in the cultural aspects of sports and in the access to natural resources through an agreement.
President Gustavo Petro during the event informed that the ambassadors in the Caribbean during his government will be native of the archipelago.
Indudablemente el papel de San Andrés.
Undoubtedly, the role of San Andres has to grow in conversations with the ambassadors of Latin America, that our ambassadors in the Caribbean islands will be the citizens of San Andres. We want to give you political primacy within the Caribbean, which is the continuous and natural space from the cultural point of view. There, I believe that this is the origin of the disaster that we have had legally from the point of view of sovereignty.
In view of the announcement of the President-elect Gustavo Petro, this news agency will be attentive of the appointment to be made in the coming days regarding the new ambassadors of the insular Caribbean who will be from the archipelago, taking into account that the 7th of August, the President-elect will be sworn in as President. Without vital signs, a man injured with a firearm arrived at the departmental hospital in the afternoon hours on the beaches of the Rocky Key sector.
Se acaba de presentar un homicidio.
Unfortunately, this afternoon, a homicide was reported in the Rocky Key sector. This time, a person died from a gunshot wound to the head. The person had arrived on the island exactly 2 days ago, and we are already carrying out several of our own activities in terms of investigation and likewise giving all the support to the family. Here it is also very important to highlight that there was a rapid action from all the quadrants, and in that order we already have specific information, especially in terms of cameras, that will be able to establish who the responsibles are. In the last few hours, it was announced that the archipelago of San Andres, Providence, and Santa Catalina will be the guests of honor at the next ANATO 2023 fair.
Natalie Livingston, the Executive Director of ANATO in San Andres, tell us why this designation is so important.
Desde el capítulo de ANATO San Andrés nos sentimos muy.
From the ANATO San Andres branch, we are very happy and flattered that on July 28, the board of ANATO has unanimously decided that the department will be the national destination attending as guest of honor at the next ANATO 2023 Tourism Fair. It is the first time that the archipelago has this honor, and it is an opportunity for the archipelago to have a larger space for its exhibition, allowing us to be more visible during these 3 days of the fair. It also allows us to show all our richness and culture to the more than 3,000 businessmen who will be visiting the tourism showcase.
The Executive Director of ANATO also highlights the commitment of Governor Everett Hawkins in the postulation of the destination to the Board of Directors of ANATO, and she thanks him for his dedication and his great achievement. With this participation in ANATO, the destinations company will be able to make national and international alliances. It is also of vital importance for Providence to reposition itself after the devastating Hurricane Iota.
Today was the workshop held on border disputes in the ancestral territory of the Raizal Ancestral Territory and Appropriate Space to know the reflections from international law and ethnic rights perspectives on this situation. The event was attended by the academic from the Universidad Externado, who provided a perspective on the tool available to the racial population during the boundary dispute on their ancestral territory.
Los instrumentos existen.
The mechanisms exist. There is international law. There is a state law. In that framework, there are guarantees. None is easy in terms of access and claiming the right, but the mechanisms exist. So the first thing to make clear is that the framework of guarantees exists, and we must generate strategies to seek the real exercise of those rights that are guaranteed in those frameworks. So the first thing I would recommend is a strategy as a racial population trying to link the departmental authorities on one side, the state authorities on the other side, and also using the different operational frameworks of international characters, such as the Mesoamerican Project with the Foreign Ministry and Public Diplomacy that should come from the Palace of San Carlos in Bogota, oriented to a new relationship with the neighbors in the Western Caribbean.
The doctor emphasized that what the country is going through right now with the border dispute with Nicaragua is a struggle that has been going on for years, and that in some way it is vitally important to take advantage of the milestone to develop a strategy and take into account the dynamics of the national and local governments. They also highlight the struggle and how the community can contribute to this situation.
Las tensiones que viven las regiones en Colombia.
The tensions that regions of Colombia are experiencing are staying in the regions. The central government does not seem to understand the real, authentic, and deep tensions that are being experienced in the regional towns. It is important that the national government and the new generations that are being formed in different professional fields understand and know what has been called Deep Colombia. The first lesson is this: what is really happening in the country in that Colombia, which is far away from the spaces of the state action.
The General Secretary of the University finally emphasized that the department faces an ancestral problem and finds positivism in the people, and is convinced that they will present approaches to help mitigate the impact of the boundary dispute in the ancestral territory of the racial people.
Firefighters quickly control a fire at a commercial establishment located on the 20 de Julio Avenue. Fortunately, the people who were inside the facilities were not harmed.
The causes of the fire outbreak of a commercial establishment that was affected during the early hours of this morning are under investigation. At around 5:25 a.m., the fire department received the call from the National Police and managed to arrive in time to control the fire and prevent damage to human integrity.
Well, we want to tell the community that this morning, being 5:25 a.m., we received information from the National Police that there was a building that was under fire. Immediately, the units from the fire department with the equipment and the machine, we went to the incident and we attended in a satisfactory way. Thank God we didn't have no people that was lesioned, but we did the rescue of 2 people who was in the building. The fire was controlled efficiently, and we are having investigation right now to determine which was the origin and what was the causes of this fire.
The people who were in the establishment attended the hospital center during the morning hours to rule out health damages after inhaling the smoke caused by the fire.
The Secretariat of Planning today makes a special invitation to a cultural event where you will be able to taste the racial cuisine.
This is a desert fair that aims to support children from the department to participate in the 6 Siba Fest program, an exchange of orchestras and Colombian culture.
The Planning Secretariat, in compliance with one of the goals of the Departmental Development Plan, which is to promote marketing opportunities such as entrepreneurship and business fairs, supports entrepreneurs to publicize their products and services not only in the department but also nationally. Therefore, this time we are supporting the entrepreneurship of the Esfera School of Music and its students to help them participate in the IBA Fest Cultural Exchange and Colombian culture.
The fair will be held tomorrow, Saturday, from 3 to 6 p.m. in the Manawar Park.
At this time, we continue with Millicent O'Neill and the news of the municipality of Old Providence and Santa Catalina.
Good evening to all our viewers. This is the most relevant information from Old Providence and Catalina. The director of the Old Providence and Santa Catalina Archaeology Project announced that they have found promising evidence at the location of New Westminster.
Promising evidence on the location of the first town ever built in Old Providence, New Westminster was found this week in Old Town. This was announced by the director of the archaeology team that has been on the island searching for the location of this 1629 village, among other sites.
So far, and we're very, very excited, we have found 2 buildings on both sides of the gully. Both of them are made of materials that they would have built the original town of New Westminster out of, which is yellow Dutch brick and also a form of concrete called tabby. We do not have a lot of artifacts to also help us date those buildings, but what we do know is it is in the right place. For now, it is dating to the right time, and it is in exactly where, also oral history places it.
The strong belief of these experts is that they have found the village.
They built about 30 houses. 2 of them we know were fully made of brick, and there would also have been a chicken house and some other things that they would have needed. But it is really the beginning of building on Old Providence. This would have been built the same time as Fort Warwick and the other forts. So as they're starting the colony and people are starting to move here, that's the first place where they would have been.
Although more research is needed to be 100% sure, all evidence points to this place.
One interesting thing, because as you all know, we excavated down at the mouth of Bowden Creek, or Bowden Gully, last time we were here, and we did find artifacts definitely from the 1600s. And so all that stuff would have been washing down from that area as well.
According to the director of the project, the next archaeology visit will focus on that area where these 2 buildings were found.
And in other news, Pro Archipelago organization toured with donors and representatives of different organizations involved in the construction of the community center in Rocky Point to see the donated energy solution in operation.
In the presence of the Australian ambassador, representatives of the Ministry of Mines and the Minister of Housing, representatives of the American Embassy, the social manager of the municipality, among others, the community center in Bailey Springs was visited. A tour of the facilities was conducted and the alternative energy system installed and already working was inspected.
We delivering today the energetic solution. The idea is we have some solar panel, and the idea is to be sustainable. Today we have the visit of the ambassador from Australia, Erica Thompson. She's one of the who donate this service, but we are give thanks also to the 13,000 donators that make this project be possible.
This community centre here can always have power in a disaster or not. And we were extremely proud. After the hurricane happened, we looked for a way that we could help. And unfortunately in Australia we have some experience helping our Pacific neighbours who've been through similar terrible circumstances. And one of the things that's proven to be most important after these kinds of disasters is the energy system and how to get it back up and running.
Father Benito, one of the major donors, also thanked contributors for this building, one of the safest in case of another disaster.
This is a blessing for our island of Providence. I believe that at this moment, the only center with all the components for a shelter on the island of Providence is this center. What name we are going to give it, we don't know yet. Anyway, we are very grateful to all the people who contribute for this good for the island of Providence and more for this sector of Rocky Point.
The final delivery of this building to the community is expected for the month of September.
This is all we have for tonight for this section of Old Providence and Ketlina. Continue in San Andres, Lisa, with more Teleislas News. Good night.